Okay, I want to start this way today, all right? I want no one looking at me. So I don't care where you're looking. I don't care if you close your eyes. I don't care if you bow your heads. I'm not asking you to do those things. I'm just saying, turn your face away from me right now. Go. Don't look at me. It's kind of hard. Don't turn back, okay? It's difficult sometimes. Like I'm speaking to you, and so like some of you, you're warring with your mom's voice in your head right now. Like, look at him, he's speaking to you. Because you were taught, like, when somebody's speaking to you, you turn your attention to them. You look at them in the eye. Don't do that. Keep looking away. I'll tell you when, okay? I just want you to feel how uncomfortable it is you're supposed to be turning your face, but you're not. And I want you to live in it right now. There's a blessing in the scriptures that I use at the end of every wedding ceremony I do. And part of it is the Lord cause his face to shine upon you. And that blessing is genuinely the Lord turn his attention to you. Because we know in our heart, when we believe who God is, that if he's paying attention, everything changes. You should still not be looking at me. When God chooses to turn his attention to face you, blessings come that way with you, with his attention. So today we're going to turn our attention to something, and we're going to turn our attention to something that has God's attention. And so, as you look up here, I want you to turn your attention to something that we try to talk about a good bit. And that is this group of people that has God's attention. And that's clear from the scriptures, from the very beginning of the scriptures through the end. It's consistent that this group that is labeled, if you will, the fatherless or the orphan, they have the Father's attention. And we as his representatives, as his body, literally the hands, the feet, the eyes, the face of Jesus, our attention should be where God's attention is. And we've talked about this a lot through the years, so much so that some people have asked me to just quit talking about it. I can't, but I'll be honest with you, I've been quieter for a lot of years than I have been in the past. And most of that's because we've pushed hard to try to figure out how to mobilize as a church for this, for the cause of the orphan. And we've pushed hard to try to encourage you to adopt or to foster. And I'm very excited and don't want to be dismissive of the families that have like really stepped into that space and made giant differences in the lives of the fatherless. But the flood of this world and the crisis of the orphan population worldwide and in our county, Cabarrus County, as it relates to foster care is overwhelming. And the burden is like, here's the need, here's the solution, and the link is, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to turn our face? Okay, so some of you, didn't take my cue. So you can look up at me now. Okay, I just want to remove that tension, all right? Because, like, look, this is what we're supposed to do. You're supposed to look at the person speaking. Y'all do that well, okay? As a church, this is what we're supposed to be, like, focused on. It's not even arguable. And so what I would love for you to do is to pick out a couple of faces so that you take this screen of fatherless and you zone in on one of those. And maybe think what would be like what would your family dynamics be like if that child right there joined your family this week? And then I want to personalize it a little bit, because today's not just about getting you to do something. Today is about shifts that need to take place in your heart. Because at the heartbeat of an orphan crisis, okay, is an orphan spirit. Okay? And when I start talking about this orphan spirit, you're going to move right now into a place where you think, oh, that's me. Because the orphan spirit is alive and well. It's evil. If you don't know what I'm talking about, think about it this way. An orphan spirit, what it causes you to do is it causes you to feel very insecure and very rejected. So when's the last time that you felt insecure and rejected? The feeling of being unloved or being just overlooked? The feeling like you have to kind of scratch and claw for some validation from people? See, that orphan spirit is attacking you. Some of you live under its control, honestly. Because the orphan spirit also causes you to strive. You feel like you're never good enough, and you never will be. That's an orphan spirit. You feel like you kind of have to pursue perfection. And you strive and you depend on yourself because that's the only thing that you feel like you can control rather than trusting God's promises. That's an orphan spirit. If you hadn't felt it yet, then the orphan spirit causes you to operate in fear and anxiety. See, you've never labeled fear and anxiety in the orphan spirit, but it's exactly what it produces. Deep fear, abandonment, the fear of failure. If you fail, nobody's going to love you. Overworking at times, performance-based, overperforming or trying to, so that you can earn approval, and then maybe that anxiety will go away. The orphan spirit, it causes you to feel a lack of belonging. You struggle. You struggle even in environments where you should immediately feel like you belong. You struggle to feel connected. You struggle to feel connected to God in a daily way, even though you're stepping into a quiet time and you're stepping into prayer, but there's distance there. You step into a community like this, like church, where we should be brothers, sisters, family, like we're related by something that we didn't do. It's something that's been done for us. The cross, his death, his resurrection, and we can all come from wherever, and it doesn't matter where we come from. It doesn't matter how deep our failure. It doesn't matter how far the distance was between us and God. It's all been bridged through our faith in Jesus Christ and his work. And so we walk in these doors, and we're immediately, because of Jesus, brothers and sisters, and yet we don't feel like we belong here. Some of you've walked in this place for years and you knew you belong, and then something, happened, and you walk in the next time and all of a sudden it feels strange. Like that's an orphan spirit. It's trying to deceive you into believing a lie that's not true. Some of you feel that even in your own family. You feel like, people just don't really want you around. And if you felt that, that's the orphan spirit. The orphan spirit, it causes you to feel jealousy, comparison. That's the foundation of how you see other people around you, because you struggle to celebrate them and their accomplishments. Because when you do that, you feel inferior. And so you feel an envy at other people's success, and you kind of keep a track of your value as a person based on where you stack up with people around you. And then when you feel like you can't stack up, then you start to avoid people that you don't stack up well to, because you're operating in an orphan spirit in comparison. So when we go into an orphan spirit, listen, all of these things are personified in the fatherless. Every child that's fatherless, when I see them, I see their insecurity immediately. I see their rejection. I see some of them strive. I can hardly watch videos anymore where they're trying to tell stories like the kid's story, to try to personalize like this giant problem with a face and a name and a story. And I used to show those up here, and I remember showing one several years ago, and this guy, he's like 7 years old, and he's saying, this situation happened to me, and I went through my coping skills, and then I did this and that, and I thought, like, what 7-year-old kid even needs to know the phrase coping skills? And I can't watch these because it's like so apparent, like the incredible amount of insecurity, the incredible amount of rejection in a 7-year-old heart, the incredible amount of having to strive to say, hey, if you bring me in your family, I'm going to be a great kid, I promise. And their operation is fear, anxiety, lack of belonging, comparison, never good enough. And I'm just saying, spiritually, your heart is not far away from that reality. And I'm telling you this, if you'll step into this, okay? If you'll step in and get a real life picture of all that's true about an orphan spirit, you'll get a picture of who you are in relation to God. You will. You'll understand your neediness. You'll understand your fatherlessness. You'll understand how your sin has alienated you, has orphaned you in this world. And then as you step in to do something about the plight of the fatherless, let me tell you what also will happen. You'll step in a place of power because you have the ability to do something. And you'll understand at that moment who God is for you more than you ever have understood before. Most of you know, but I have 4 kids that used to be fatherless, and we brought them into our family, and it's like normal now. We just operate without thinking about it because it's status quo. It's just who we are, and we don't even talk like this or think like this. But I've learned more about God's heart for me. Okay, in all of my fear, and all of my insecurity, and all of my striving, in all of my lack of feeling like I belong, in all of my jealousy, and all of my comparison, I have understood God's heart for me as an orphan when I have stepped in to the role of a father to the fatherless. And so today, I'm asking you to attack an orphan spirit in your heart, okay? And step in to this crisis, certainly for the sake of those who are fatherless, okay? But also for your sake, for the picture of God that's waiting for you to experience that you've never experienced before. Jesus, when he spends time with his closest disciples, he's done that for years, and he's now getting ready to leave them in this story that we're about to pick up here. And you can imagine being daily with Jesus, like the perfect God who knows all the needs. He's like the perfect father to the fatherless, to these disciples. And I can imagine, like with the insight of Jesus, with the omniscience and all of his perfection, like speaking like the perfect words, acting in the perfect way that this disciple needed and that disciple needed and that disciple needed. And I'm like, they've experienced this for 3 years. Can't imagine. And so he's getting them ready because he knows what's about to come. He knows his death is coming. He knows his resurrection from the dead is coming. He also knows his ascension back to heaven is coming. And he knows, like, wow, this is going to put a giant crisis in the lives of the people who are close to me, who are used to my presence. They're not used to fear and anxiety because they've watched me do things that immediately solve that. You know, Richard's, they're used to the fear and anxiety of a storm brewing up on the sea, but I think that kind of goes away when you're with Jesus after he just calms the storm. And then the next storm, when you're in the boat with Jesus, even though he's asleep, you're like, I'm pretty sure he's got this. And the fear and the anxiety are less. You're like, those, okay, so now Jesus knows, hey, I'm going. They don't know that yet. And in his wisdom, he says these words to him. Don't let your hearts be troubled. You trust in God? Hey, trust also in me. There's more than enough room in my Father's home. If this were not so, would I've told you that I'm going to prepare a place for you? When everything is ready, I'll come and get you so that you will always be with me where I am. You know, you feel this preparation. And I'm sure the disciples are like, what is he talking about again? We don't understand this. But he continues to dialogue with them through that. And later in that same chapter, in John chapter 14, he says this. He said, and I'm going to ask the Father, and he's going to give you another advocate. I've been with you, but I'm leaving you, and I'm going to prepare a place for you. That should make them feel comforted. Good. However, I'm leaving you. But I'm going to ask the Father, and he's going to give you another advocate who will never leave you. He is the Holy Spirit who leads into all truth. The world can't receive him because it isn't looking for him and doesn't recognize him. But you'll know him because he lives with you now and later will be in you. And then he says this phrase, no, I will not abandon you as orphans. I will come to you. You see, in all those identifiers of living in the orphan spirit, like Jesus is saying, hey, I'm here. God's Spirit is in you. Those of you who have put your faith in Christ, God's Spirit is no longer with you, in you, taking up residence in us. God is not leaving us as orphans. He understands the possibility that we all have to feel and be wrecked honestly, by the orphan spirit. And with that, he says, I'm not gonna leave you as orphans. I'm coming to you. And he introduces not the orphan spirit, he attacks the orphan spirit with the spirit of adoption. And the spirit of adoption says, I'm gonna bring full acceptance. I'm gonna bring full security. You no longer have to feel rejection. You no longer have to operate in insecurity. Not with me. Because God's Spirit says, you're accepted. You're secure. No longer do you have to feel like, hey, we got to scratch and claw and we got to strive to be acceptable, to be good, to be seen as worthy. We can just rest. We can rest. The spirit of adoption, it brings courage and it brings peace instead of that fear and anxiety. The spirit of adoption, it brings a sense of family, a presence of family, instead of the lack of belonging. And the spirit of adoption, it brings love, appreciation, a gratefulness for the uniqueness of who you are, instead of jealousy and comparison. Listen, you felt these things too at different moments. Maybe it's in this room, maybe it's in this body, maybe it's in another group or another gathering, but you felt that acceptance and that security, that rest, the courage, the peace, the belonging of family, and the love and the appreciation. Like, this is the spirit of adoption. And so as we step into something that we're about to step into, and I push you, okay, to do this. I push you to take action. I want you to know that what I'm really attacking, and maybe what God's Spirit is doing with you saying yes to stepping in here, is attacking the orphan spirit in your own heart and bringing the adoption spirit of who God is and wants to be to you in your daily reality. And he might just use a project like this to get it done. So I want you to take a look at this quick video. This is a group called Foster the City, and the rest of our time is really going to be focused on what this group is, how we're going to interface with them, and what that means for you. So take a look.
She's coming today.
We'll figure it out.
Well, there's still so much to do. I don't know how we're going to pull this off.
Hey, special delivery. Thank goodness you're here.
Oh man, you're a lifesaver.
I got everything on the list. How you holding up?
We're kind of drowning. It's in the middle of the school year already. It's a lot.
Hey, that's why we're here. We got your back.
It's actually coming together.
Hey, Hannah.
We heard she's your favorite.
Thank you.
Ready? Here we go. Hey, Mom. Excited? All right. Yeah. Feel good?
We can stay all night if you want.
Lord, pray for this family, that they will find you, that their plans will come together.
This group is called Foster the City. They've started in San Francisco Bay Area, and we've gotten to know them a little bit, and we're stepping in right here. And so here, some of you can take a deep sigh of relief, okay? Because let me tell you what I'm not going to ask you to do. I'm not going to ask you to adopt a child. today. I'm going to push pause on that. I'm not going to ask you to foster a child today, okay? I'm not going to ask you to do either of those two things. So now half of you in the room can re-engage and re-listen, okay? I understand the bar on that. Part of the reason that the fatherless crisis is so big is because the bar to do something about it is so high, okay? And I know that many of you have sat through many services and felt like, wow, I'm not going to do anything about that. I wish he'd quit talking about it because it makes me feel really bad. And that's not my heartbeat, and that's not my intent. But I promise you today is your day. And so as we step into this problem that we want to attack, if you have felt any realm, those things, you need to really, really pay attention. And you really need to step in and take some action. Because we're going to give you amazing routes to make a difference, a giant difference, okay, in the life of a family who is fostering. Currently, we have about 5 or 6 families that are fostering kids. And we have a few more who don't go to church here, but their kids come to our daycare. And so these are our targets, if you will. And so here's the process of Foster the City. Here's where we're at today, okay? We're just talking about it. And if you've been here a while, you know this is not a new topic. But this is a new plan, if you will. And it's a plan that's worked really, really well in different places. And I'm looking forward to seeing how great it works in our setting. And so we're casting vision. And listen, the singular thing that we're going to ask you to do today is to sign up for an interest meeting. That is it. And I kind of feel like everybody should do that. And so that's my bar, is 100%. That's my bar. Because you're going to sign up for an hour-and-a-half interest meeting. And it's not, you don't even have to come back to church for it because it's going to be online, okay? And so you can take part of this interest meeting at home, okay? So that's that. And at that interest meeting, you're going to hear about these 2 routes, okay? And this top route is saying, hey, you need to think about fostering. You need to get licensed as the foster care family, and you need to make a difference and bring a child into your home. And that is all true, okay? But we're not talking about that today, remember? You're going to hear about that because you can't talk about this without this. But today, this is the route. Because what we want to do and what Foster the City does is it surrounds every family who fosters with a group of supporting friends. With a group of people say, hey, I'm your support friend, I'm your support team, and anything that comes up in your world of fostering a child, like we got your back. And that could be something as simple as, watching a child, bringing a meal by, doing some housework, just anything that comes up. But there's a strategy in creating this. And so literally what I'm asking you to do is sign up to an interest meeting to consider being a support friend for people in our church who are already fostering, okay? And then as we move into that and we connect you with a strategic, you're going to have an assigned task, okay? You're going to have a assigned support team. It's not just going to be random. We want to surround every family in our church who is fostering with a team of 5 or 6 people or couples or families that can pull this off. So you're also not going to be alone. It's not just, one-on-one and you got to do everything that the foster family needs done. It's stepping in to being a part of a team who pulls this off, okay? And then we'll figure out how to celebrate the milestones of that in the future, okay? So this is maybe what each team looks like. And these slides are literally directly from Foster the City, so you should feel confident in this is what this approach is about, all right? You got a family in the middle, And we want to surround them. We want to surround them with prayer, like strategic prayer and encouragement that's personal. That doesn't just come in a broad way from the whole church, but it comes from a team that they interact with, day in, day out, week in, week out. Yard work and handiwork. Some of you are really spectacular at this stuff, but you've never attached a spiritual connection to it. And this could be your day, honestly. This could be the day that shifts. Hey, I'm like, that's natural to me, but it's all been like, I got a great house, and I got a great second house, and I take care of everything because I'm good at it. But now you can step in and make a giant difference in a family who is fostering by taking care of some of these. Housekeeping, it just is what it is. I can't say a whole lot about that because I'll get in trouble. But it's overwhelming, particularly when you're trying to wrestle through bringing kids into your home that have some food insecurities. And you don't maybe even know what that is, but when you parent a kid who has some food insecurities, they store food everywhere. They hide it everywhere. And so it's different, trust me. And so housekeeping becomes a whole different topic in those settings. And then, babysitting, transportation. You can't imagine the amount of meetings / therapy sessions / visitations that a child in foster care needs to be at. It's a lot. And any family who's fostering needs help on those fronts. And so this is what we want to do. This is what Foster the City does. Okay, so here's a 5-minute video that kind of is an interview with the family in the Bay Area, okay, with Foster the City, and this is their real-life experience with how this has played out. Take a look at this.
Hi, we're the Bruce family. My name's Jeff, and this is my wife. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Kashal.
This is Jake and Addie. They're our 2 bio kids. They're 10 and 8. We've been fostering as a family together for a couple years now.
Once I had children, there was just kind of a stirring in my heart for children that didn't have homes. And I think it just was this stirring of the heart and a calling of the Lord to just, my heart kind of kept growing and growing, and I kept nudging my husband in that direction.
Kashal was definitely the gas and I was the brakes in the relationship. I think your heart was drawn as soon as we had Addie, just this growing realization that there are so many kids in the Bay Area who do not have a family that's prepared to welcome them. And so that really, I think, broke your heart first. And for me, it was an adjustment to think about entering this foster care journey. I think one of the turning points for me was talking to a really good mentor of mine, a guy I admired, who had been a foster parent. And he just challenged me and said, Jeff, just do a study of the biblical storyline and everything God says about vulnerable children. And just going through that process really cemented for me that we need to be involved in this as a family somehow, some way. And then we jumped in, been doing it for 3 years now. So we've had 3 placements. We were able to reunify our first placement with an extended family, and then our second placement, a little boy with his mom. And we're still in touch with those families, which is very cool. And now our third placement, we are in the process of adopting him, a little boy who's about to turn 2. Our support friends, I like to refer to them as the support army, because I feel like they're just bringing in reinforcements for us right when we need them.
We're the Ramos family, and we're a support family for the Bruces.
Hi, my name's Kyle.
Hi, my name is Emily.
I'm Sydney. I'm Steven. And I'm Aubrey.
And we're support team friends.
Hi, we're the Turners. My name is Laura.
I'm Veronica.
I'm Marisela.
I'm Craig.
When we first got involved, we were very apprehensive and scared because our children were only were so young. Bash was only 2, and Jax was about 6 months old at that time. One of the questions we had was like, where would we find time? Our lives were very chaotic. God kept saying, yeah, you can open your schedule.
Yeah, you can do this.
You can do this, yeah.
So last October, our church was studying God's heart for the orphans and the widows. And we heard that there was an info session coming up where we could learn more about fostering. And to be honest, we didn't feel called to fostering, but we wanted to help however we could. So we went to the info session, and when we went, we loved hearing about God's heart for children all over the Bay Area. But to be honest, my heart was broken when I heard that a lot of these families that go through the whole process to foster maybe do it one time, and then they just feel like they can't continue because of all the pressure that this family has to face alone. So when we heard that we could become a support family and we could help through prayer, through meeting needs of their family, even things like babysitting, we thought, we can't do it all, but this is one way we can help.
We decided to become support friends about a year ago. And for me, it was sort of a no-brainer because I've always wanted to be a foster parent. We just didn't really have the opportunity to do it. And this was the opportunity. If we couldn't do it ourselves, then we could be a support to someone.
We didn't really know what we would need as we started out the journey. And I think what's been so great about our support friends is that they have been so great at offering help. And so they will come up with ideas and ways to love us well before we even think of it.
I remember it was April Fool's Day, and I remember her calling me and saying, hey friend, guess what? I just got a phone call. It's about this little baby girl. She's 3 days old, and we're gonna pick her up this afternoon. And of course we're like, ah! And we just jumped into action mode. We got her clothes, diapers, babysitting. We delivered meals to their home, whatever was needed.
And just knowing there's this readiness on our team to lean into this with us was so encouraging to me. And then seeing right after the prayers, diapers, deliveries showing up at our door, a stroller, a crib. And they were just ready. They were just on it. And I think that signaled to me, it's like, okay, we're not alone in this. Like, they are gonna be there with us.
Well, and I would say even we've been overwhelmed with how wonderful they've been, but so have actually the children that we fostered and their families.
Remember when it was time to reunite baby S with his biological mom? It was in the middle of pandemic, so we couldn't give him a proper send-off, plus it happened really fast. So the group got together, we did a video call prayers for baby S.
We laughed as we watched her play, and we cried together as we all said goodbye. And that was a sweet moment for us and even for our children as they were saying goodbye to their first foster sibling, which was hard. But to do it together, we were able to endure, and it gave us the strength to keep going and accept another placement 2 weeks later. Truly, they energize us, and they give us the strength to keep going.
I hope that gives you just a little snapshot of what we hope happens. I'm going to ask my daughter, Megan, where are you at? Oh, there you are. Come on up. This is Megan Henderson. She is my oldest daughter. She's also a foster mom. I guess she's adopted 5 kids through foster care. So, and then she's also fostering other kids. And so she is going to be our point leader, very experienced in this whole community. And she is going to be our point person for Foster the City. So you can ask me questions about Foster the City. If you want really good answers, then you'll ask Megan questions about Foster the City. But Megan, tell us, how did you hear about Foster the City? Because you told me about it.
Yeah, I have a single foster mom friend who lives in California in the Bay Area, and she has fostered several kids, and I have just seen that she has had a team of people surrounding her. Even from all the way over here, I've seen that she's had a team of people surrounding her through each of her placements, just really encouraging her, praying for her, meeting physical needs for her in ways that just other people can't. And so I've seen that through her, and so I reached out to her and just kind of asked, like, how does this all work? Because this looks amazing, but also building that from the ground up and not exactly knowing what that looks like and what that needs to look like. I know what it needs to look like in my own life, but like the logistical aspect and everything. And so she connected me with Foster the City, which is who she has her support friends through.
And so you stepped in, made contact with the people at Foster the City, and they have several churches, West Coast wise. This is their first.
Yeah, they have about 300 churches in California and I think in Nevada. And then we are the next church in the first state on the East Coast, first church on the East Coast, and we hope that other churches will follow suit. But we're kind of their trial run for the East Coast side.
So don't mess it up, okay? A lot riding on you, okay? So how you saw what I described, but how does that process work, practically?
Yeah, so there's a training and onboarding, lots of steps, little steps through there that we will help you through. But ultimately, there's an app, and that's kind of where everything happens, which is amazing and a really great resource. So it is an app that everybody can download, and basically, we will assign you, we will choose the specific families, or the support friends for each family, kind of based on our trainings and things like that. And you will be connected in an app. So a foster family will have access to this app, and they will have access to their support friends. They'll have a calendar. They can put important dates. Foster parents basically live court date to court date. We have a ton of appointments, a ton of different things that you'd never even think about. And we can put all of those in our calendar so our support friends can see those things, to be praying for those things, or if it's a court days are long and hard and challenging and complicated. And so like making sure that a meal's brought on court days, things like that. Most of the foster families that are foster families or that jump into fostering are not necessarily the type of people that are gonna ask other people for help. And so this kind of eliminates that need for asking for help. This is, we're gonna provide the help because we know that you need it and we want you to utilize it. And so we're kind of just coming in and jumping in and meeting that need before it's even reached out and asked to us.
Yeah, so how many families we have in our church that are fostering?
We have about 5 or 6. We have a couple that are in the process of being licensed as well.
Yep. And then there's a few families in the daycare.
Yes, we also have several. Our daycare takes the subsidized daycare voucher that foster parents receive. So we have several families in the daycare who are foster parents, and so their kids that are in foster care come to our daycare as well.
Just a side note on that, one of the great things about having a daycare is that we do accept vouchers from foster care. So we do have children who are in foster care, and we don't charge, a lot of daycares charge like additional fees above that to kind of get in line with the market, and we just don't do that. And so it's just a subtle way that you guys, by supporting a church that has a daycare, are really helping out in that significant way. So what we want to do is we want to surround every single one of those families with a support team.
Yes, we want to surround each family with a support team of 4 to 5 families, so 4 to 5 couples, or if you're a single person, 4 to 5 people surrounding them to provide meals. Really, it utilizes, what I love about it is it utilizes your gifting. So it's not specific. We're not asking you to do a specific thing each month, but we are asking you to do something every month. And so the way their model works is we ask 2 things to be done every month. We ask for a physical need to be met, so that could be yard work or handiwork or a meal or providing babysitting if the family is comfortable with that, things of that nature, or anything that you are gifted in. That could be tutoring, that could be just spending one-on-one time with their kid. It is just dependent on what you feel like you're called to do to support and help that family. And so we ask that you do one of those every month, and then also just a spiritual, emotional support. So sending a note that you're praying for them, or asking how they can be encouraged, or sending a letter in the mail, things of that nature. So it's really only 2 things per month that we're asking of you. Obviously, you can do more, but it's a very small way to show families that we support them. Fostering is really challenging and really hard and really emotional and really complicated. And so just surrounding those families is vital to help them continue on.
And so it is simple, okay? Simple as 2 things a month. However, it is strategic too. And this is a defined team. This is a defined commitment.
Yes.
So what kind of commitment are we talking about beyond the 2 things? Like, is that for a whole placement or a whole year, or what is that?
So the way that their model works is basically they do placement. So when a family gets a placement, they will do, your commitment is through the duration of that placement. That could look very different, vastly different.
2 hours?
Yeah, it could be
2
one
years.
night. It could be 2 years. But we are going to ask that you commit to a year, because most of the families that are in our church that are actively fostering already have placements. They might be nearing the end, but just because they're nearing the end of that placement does not mean that they don't need support anymore. So our ask is that you commit to doing this for a year. And I've talked to several churches and friends now that have done this model, and a lot of them don't stop at the year mark. Sure. That's just what we're asking of you. But you build a relationship with that family, and so you're absolutely more than willing to continue on with them. But our ask is that you commit for a year.
Yeah, so we're building whole communities of ready response team around every family who is fostering, okay? I'm asking for 100%, okay? That's my bar. Because, look, you're 20 years old, you're 16 years old, you can do something, okay? You're 60 years old, you're probably not starting over and fostering, a 3-year-old, but you can do something, okay? Everybody can do something here. Okay, and be a part of a team where you don't have to do everything. This team is going to have a team leader.
Yes, each team will have a team leader.
And so you'll have this foster family, you'll have a team leader, and then we're structured care. Yeah, people who foster, they're funny. They don't ask for help, but they need it. Okay, and I think sometimes even like dad-daughter here, she doesn't even sometimes ask me for the help that she needs. And so we want to break through that barrier, and this does that, okay? It's done through an app. You'll understand the app when you go to the info session, right? So what we need everybody to do is info session, right?
Yeah, so the info session, I sat in on an info session. It's only about an hour long. It's not even, you don't even have to be ready for it. Your face doesn't have to be on the meeting. It's literally basically a webcast kind of, where they're going to kind of walk you through what it looks like to foster, but also what it looks like to be a support friend. Even if you do not plan on fostering, it's so important too that you listen to that part and just learn what it actually looks like to be a foster parent, because that is who you'll be serving. And so there's the 2 routes that it'll walk you through. So I would just pay attention and listen close to both parts of that meeting.
Can you go back to that slide real quick where the 2 routes go? All right, so just so you'll know, you're going to hear at the info session, interest meeting, you're going to hear about the whole thing, okay? But for our purposes here, we've talked about this, okay? We haven't created this. And my heartbeat is this. My heartbeat is that we surround every family who's fostering with so much support and so much care, okay? That we have 100 families in our church fostering, and that every one of them is surrounded, because there's over 200 kids in Cabarrus County foster care system. Every single one of those families that's fostering those kids, they need a support team. I promise you that. I promise you that. Can we be that church? That's what the issue. And the reason that we can be that church is for you to say yes. And the yes that you need to say yes to right now is a Foster the City interest meeting. Okay, so get your phones out. We're doing this live, okay? If you don't have your phone out, everybody's going to be looking at you and saying, why don't you have your phone out? Okay, and I'm going to move out of the way, and I'm going to do this with you, okay? I've got, there's the code. I'll get out of your way. Mine's still trying to, anybody there yet? Maybe our internet is, I don't know. There we go. Mine just came up. Okay, if yours comes up and it says RSVP to attend interest meeting, raise your hand. I need to know who's, okay. All right, so we're here. Okay. Let's get you started. Enter your zip code. Let me get out of the way, thanks. I'm moving different stages. You're there. All right, enter your zip code. I'm putting mine in, 28075. I got my name, first name, last name. I'm RSVPing for myself for now. Got an email address that's in there that we need, or they need. Got a phone number. Are y'all tracking with me? Okay, thanks. Okay, now, which church do you attend? Please begin typing the name of your church, okay? If you didn't know, you're at Venture Church today. And when you type V, it'll say New Church, Venture Church. Don't touch anything yet. Move over to the right and touch where it says Harrisburg, and it'll go for you, okay? If you did that too quick, you just need to redo it. Venture Church, Harrisburg, okay? Then you got which interest meeting would you like? And here's the great thing, okay? We have an interest meeting that they are doing just specifically for us because they're West Coast people, all right? And so all their interest meetings are at 10 p.m. our time, all right? That's not bad. I'll get you in a second. But they're doing one at 4 p.m. their time, which is 7 p.m. our time. What date is that?
It's on the 27th.
27th.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's the top one, so it's easy to click.
So you can click that 27th if you want to be like a normal person and do this at like 7 p.m., okay? Or if you're a night owl,
or if you have kids, it's bedtime at 7.
Or if you have kids and bedtime happens at 7 or 7:30 and it works a whole lot better for you to do at 10 p.m., then they can sign up for any of these.
Yeah, all of them are the same. They're all the exact same thing. They just made one specially for us so that you don't have to stay up till 10 p.m. if you don't. I went to one at 10 p.m. and it was great. And it's the same information at all the meetings.
Okay, so you got your interest meeting for in-person meetings. You're not doing an in-person meeting, okay? That's why you're doing this online, unless you want to go to San Francisco, and most of us don't. Let's just be honest. And then anything else you need to know, you can type in there, and then you hit submit, okay? Submit. It's a weird word, isn't it? You've never thought about that before. You've just thought, oh, I submit. I send my stuff in. No, you submit yourself to a process that's going to transform lives by you serving in submission to this team and this problem and this challenge, okay? Can we do this? I mean, this interest meeting, it's pulled out, like we don't lead it at all. Foster the City leads this thing, okay? So if you want more information, go on Foster the City website. They got more information. You can download the app. It's really good, but you can't get very far in there until you go to an interest meeting. So you can't really explore what's going on in there. But we can do this, all right? From here, if you have barriers to stepping in here, I want to know them, all right? Because I want to help you get through them, okay? If sometime today that you thought, wow, I should probably just go ahead and foster if I'm going to have a great team of people around me, then you should probably think about that too, all right? And you can talk to us about that. But from this point, my goal is to get you to this interest meeting, all right? So I'm removed every barrier in the room to that, hopefully, okay? And now it's on you and the Lord. But step in here. Because like months from now, this is going to be rolling. And if you didn't jump in, like there'll be opportunities, but why not now? Why not now? And literally all I'm asking you to do is to watch an interest meeting with no video on you in your bed one night. Okay? That's it. That's it. And then let's see what the Lord does from there, okay? Will you stand with me? Because we're going to sing our way out of here. And I'm going to pray for us. And we're going to sing a song that I've sung many times when I don't have any words, when I don't have anything left. All we have is to speak Jesus. And we speak Jesus over this church, and we speak Jesus over this community, and we speak Jesus today over every family who is fostering, okay? And so we've got fostering families in this room right here, right now, okay? And I'm just telling you, like, help is on the way, okay? And I promise you that. And so let me pray for us. We'll sing. God, we're grateful kids. So grateful that you've adopted us into your family, that you've removed the orphan spirit from our reality, that you've flooded our lives with security and love and belonging and significance. And you've removed the fear and the anxiety and the abandonment that sin produces in our life and our culture just breeds. And we pray, Father, as we do this in a real way for kids in this community, Lord, that we would get a bigger picture of who you are to us. And we pray in Jesus' name.